Makes a bucket and a foul. Breakaway. Io.
Oh, meet me at the rim and don't be late.
Give me the hot sauce. Did you not get the memo? Derrick Rose can go upstairs. Oh, he's Martini. The steal. Wait for the lead. Yeah.
Big time plays. Big time plays.
Giddy for the win. Go!
Oh, my God. I cannot believe this.
Improbable.
Hey, everybody, welcome into a brand new edition of the Gimme the Hot Sauce podcast. Stacey King is back from Denver, just actually came right from the airport, so we appreciate him hustling out here to bring you a brand new episode. Tim Kelley alongside as well. Stacey, the Bulls 2-2. What do you make of it so far?
I've liked what I've seen. Last night's game against Denver, I didn't really like the way they played in certain areas defensively. And Denver's a hard team to play because they're a team that was like one game away from being in the finals. They took Oklahoma City to the seventh game and probably played Oklahoma City better than anybody, and other than Indiana. So Jokic played about 20-something minutes and looked like the Jokic that we were so used to seeing, three-time MVP. They've got a new bench. Then they went and got Bruce Brown back. They've added, the kid. They made the trade for Cam Johnson, who takes the place of Michael Porter Jr., which I think is a better fit for Denver anyway, because Michael Porter Jr. wanted to be a bigger option into the offense. He wanted to be like a number 2 guy, and that just wasn't going to work there. So they went out and get a guy who will play a role on that team, knock down 3-point shots, and is also a good shooter.
Bulls are we're seeing a lot of growth from some of their young guys. Modest Buzelis going into year 2. He had 20 points in the game against the Nuggets, and it just seems like his confidence level, which was high to start with, has grown even more, which has been fun to watch.
Well, that's one thing. He doesn't lack confidence. I mean, this is a kid that believes in himself. He knows what he can do. He worked hard this summer. That was one of the concerns, like how hard will he work? Was that just talk, lip service? And, he's proven that, hey, he wants to be great. He's a gym rat. I talked to, AK. They have to kick him out of the gym most nights. He's in there working on his game, and they tell him to go home. Go home and be a kid. Go enjoy yourself. Go get away from the court. He just stays out there. You can tell he's a leader now. Year 2, this is the maturation that you want to see out of him. Is as fast as his game better, and you can tell the 3-point shooting is much better. He's handling the ball. Billy is giving him opportunities to get the ball off the glass, initiate the offense, bring the ball up the floor. His ball handling has improved tremendously, and it wasn't bad last year.
Hey, Tim, Modest just turned 21 the other day. What do you remember about your 21st birthday?
Wearing handcuffs.
Oh,
come on now.
Oh, my God. He's not lying either.
That's my favorite jewelry when I was a kid. Handcuffs.
What do you make of Modest? I'm curious from your perspective.
No, but hold up, Mark. Hold up. But what did you get arrested for at 21?
He didn't get arrested.
I did. I was out of control.
What?
Yeah, I was out of control and getting in fights and getting overserved. It was just a regular thing for me.
So you were drunk basically when you got arrested, and starting fights and getting the fight.
That's usually how it went.
It's kind of a prerequisite for the whole disorderly
I didn't have the
conduct
discipline
thing.
of these athletes. Let's put it that way.
Oh,
so
man.
sorry, Mark, to bring the show to a grinding halt again.
So safe to say, Modest is a lot more responsible than Tim Kelley at 21.
Yeah, I mean it's remarkable. These kids, they have this just unlimited funds. They're told they're great every day, and then they manage this process of being disciplined and being professional. I would have had no chance.
Yeah, I mean, throwing all that money at a kid that young. I mean, that you lived it. I mean, the money wasn't as big back then. It still was life-changing money.
You ain't lying. Man, there's times I wish my mom and dad would have put me in a little cryo cup and froze me, and then they unthawed me, like in the year 20. What are we talking about? 20 year I had to be released.
We're still working on this math problem.
But now, you know what? I mean, listen, the money that these kids make is crazy, and he's going to make some money if he continues to improve. They had a comment yesterday from the big kid from Denver, Valanciunas.
Yeah, and
he said, this kid can be great if he continues to work. And he said he's got the ability to be a superstar player in this league. And I said that, and so when you watch him play, he's not fazed by anything. He guards he had like 5 or 6 blocks last night. He kind of reminds you defensively of Andre Karolinko.
Mm-hmm.
He reminds you of that kind of player that can guard anybody on the floor, long, athletic. He blocks shots, he rebounds. But I think he's a much better offensive player than Karolinko was.
Yeah,
He can get his own shot. He can get out there and face you up, bounce, go off the bounce. And what I've liked about him this year in preseason, he's scoring with his left hand. He's driving to his left strong, and he's finishing at the rim with his left hand. So now he can go either way. You can't just shade him one way or other and say, let's take his right hand away and make him go left. He can drive all the way to the rim from the three-point line in 2 dribbles with his left hand.
Another October birthday for the Bulls. Josh Giddey turned 23 on October 10th. He's already in his 5th year. Of course, he got the big contract, 4 years, $100 million. And it seems like he's built off the way he finished last season. Very aggressive, making plays for himself and others. And I think he's going to really be a guy that may be considered for an all-star berth if he puts up those kind of numbers over the first half of the year.
Well, I'm expecting him to possibly lead the league in triple doubles. He has that ability that he can get. He's going to rebound. He rebounds very well at 6'8". It's like having a forward out there. He's tough. He's a guy that I think played Australian rules football, so he's not afraid to mix it up. He's not some pretty boy that's just like I don't like contact. He'll go in there and mix it up, so he'll get rebounds for you. He's going to get an assist and he's going to score. His 3-point shot, he's not hesitant in shooting that shot. Shout out to Peter Patton, who really worked on him last season to get him the confidence and get him the ability to just, hey, don't think about it. Because in Oklahoma City, that was one of the knocks against him that he couldn't shoot threes. And in the playoffs, like Dallas played him, and Oklahoma City should have beat Dallas that year that Dallas went to the finals. They sagged off of Josh Giddey, and they dared him to shoot, and he couldn't make a shot, and his confidence was really, really not where it should have been in that series. And so that's been a knock on him. He's worked on his 3-point shooting. He's been shooting it very well in the preseason. Very confident shooting, no hesitation. And like I said, having him back, controlling the tempo of the ball, getting the ball up and down, hitting the people that he needs to hit, been playing extremely well.
And as good as those two guys have been, probably the player who's drawn the most attention in terms of his outstanding play in the preseason has been Ayo Dosunmu, the local kid, of course, from Chicago, who played at the University of Illinois. And he seems to get better every year. And I know that there's been a lot of reviews around the league that he's really taken another step forward in terms of his offensive ability.
Well, Ayo's a hard worker. He's last year he hurt his shoulder, and that really hurt the Bulls. And I said this, on the air in the preseason games. I said, had him and Trey Jones been healthy, the Bulls are in the playoffs. They're at least 8 seed, and they're playing in a 7-game series against someone. Those two guys went out, and that really hurt their chances because those guys give you quality depth at the guard position. Ayo can play multiple positions there. They're both tough kids. The thing I liked about Ayo, and I think Ayo always he's motivated by certain things. That's what great players do. They find something that really motivates him. What's motivated him throughout his career is being in the second round when he knew he was a first-round pick. He's like first-team All-American, all Big Ten player, should have been a first-round pick, slipped to the second round. That motivated him his first 3 years, and it still probably motivates him. But I think also hearing his name in trade rumors, I think, in his mind, he's like, oh, so people, you're going to try to trade me. Okay. And so I'm going to show you how valuable I am to this team. And it's not like the Bulls are trying to trade him. It's like teams are calling the Bulls what it'll take to get Ayo Dosunmu. So that's a good thing because when teams are reaching out to your organization and asking you about a certain young player like Ayo, that tells you that they really, really like you and they want you in their organization and to be a starter in their organization. He's been a starter. He's played multiple positions. He's had different coaches, different responsibilities, and he's never wavered. He's going to continue to do that. He's the hardest worker, one of the hardest workers on the team. And what he's doing in preseason is not a fluke. I mean, he's always been able to get downhill since he came in since his first game as a rookie. He wants to play fast. He wants to play in transition with this high pace. This suits his game very, very well. Now, the thing you got to worry about is that's preseason. He's getting to the basket at will. When the regular season starts and the regular guys are playing and the teams are able to scheme against him and Modest, are they ready to counter what the defense is doing? Because they're going to see different defensive coverages. They're going to be on the scouting report. Don't let this guy do X, Y, Z, send him to help, whatever. And he's going to make him shoot, back off and make him shoot the 3-ball. There's going to be teams that are going to be scheming against those two guys.
We haven't yet seen Kobe White. He's strained a calf muscle in the offseason leading up to training camp, and the Bulls are just going to hold him out. They're hoping to have him ready for the regular season opener, which is next Wednesday coming up against the Pistons at home. I don't know if you had a chance to talk to Kobe on any of these games, but what's the word on how he's feeling, and do you think he'll be ready to go on game one?
Yeah, I mean, they're taking it slow. I mean, he's been working out. He's been doing court work on the side, and he's been getting a good workout, so that's positive, that he's even doing that. So I expect him, like I'm not a doctor, but I expect him to be back opening. Every player wants to be there opening night, and you're at home, you're playing against Detroit, which is a rival. You definitely want to be back. And, if they get him back, and you got to remember he hadn't had a preseason. So that's one of those things like, okay, how rusty is he going to be? What's his conditioning going to be? When he does come back, whether it's the first game or the fourth game, he's got to, rev himself up, ramp up his conditioning to make sure he's able to play. Because that's an injury that we've seen over the last few years, Mark.
Yeah, it's led to some disastrous stuff.
Some bad stuff.
Yeah, you don't want to see that happen. The bench guys have been good. I've really been impressed with Zach Collins. He was picked up in that trade last year, and people thought, well, that's just a throw-in, and, he's not going to play because you got Vooch, you got Jalen Smith. He has shown that he can have an impact.
He's a starter in this league, okay? Billy's got to play him this year. You can't have him sitting on the bench and playing 9 minutes, 10 minutes a game. They're a deeper team than they've ever been since Billy's been here. They've always been guard-dominated. Now there's a lot more balance across the board with the players that they have. Vooch is still going to be the starting center, but you've got options now behind him. Even Jalen Smith has played well when he's getting minutes. He's not getting the minutes that he probably should be getting. But both those guys have, they have a skill set that plays a very important role in how Billy wants to play. You want bigs that can stretch the floor. You want bigs that can run the floor. You want bigs that can switch out and defend guards. Last night, you saw Vooch. Vooch has a hard time, switching and guarding smaller players. You can see it. It's just that's not his forte. And, these two guys can. And Zach gives you a post-up option. He's not a guy that's going to stand out at three-point line. He's going to go down there and he's going to mix it up. He's going to try to get to the foul line. That's what I like about him, is that he brings a back to the basket element that we want Vooch to have, that Vooch sometimes kind of goes away from that and relies more on the three-point ball. You've got to have a post in there that you can throw the ball to, that when the offense is stagnant and you're not making threes, you have someone down there that can get you some buckets or get to the foul line.
Another guy that was involved in the Zach LaVine trade, Trey Jones, he became a free agent last offseason, and people thought, well, the Bulls have so many guards, they're not going to bring him back. But that was a priority signing for him, and you can see why now with Kobe, going to be on a minutes restriction coming in. He's really going to be valuable for them.
Well, I think in the short sample that they saw Trey Jones, they realized that he's probably better than some of the guards they had on the roster anyway. So, this is a kid that can be a starter for you. He started in San Antonio. He has a great grasp of the offense. He's got a high basketball IQ, makes the right plays every single time he's on the floor. They ran him in the starting lineup a couple of times, and he played well with Josh Giddey. And it also allows, when you have two ball handlers on the floor like him and Josh Giddey and Kobe, you could take some pressure off Josh. He didn't have to bring the ball up every single time. Those two guys can initiate the offense. They all can attack on the floor. And Trey Jones is very good at being able to get by his man and create space to either score for himself or get his teammate involved.
So we're closing in on the start of the regular season. What concerns you the most about this team going into game one?
Defense, because like sometimes they have lapses. They had lapses against Denver, the other night. Well, last night for us, they had lapses, and where the rotations are not where they're supposed to be. I've always said this. I'm not a big component of switching. Okay.
Right.
And the one guy that they're going to have to make adjustments on that you cannot switch no matter what is Vooch. You just can't, because when you switch with Vooch out there, Vooch doesn't have the ability. That's an automatic mismatch for their guard. Automatic mismatch, which in turn now he beat Vooch off the dribble, which that's what you're supposed to do. And then it's a domino effect, because now the Bulls are playing chase to try to find the open shooter. So when you go past Vooch, someone has to step up and help. If you don't step up and help, that guard's going all the way to the basket. If you don't step up and help, he's going to dump it off for a lob to the big man rolling to the basket. And then if you come off a shooter to help, they're going to swing it. If he doesn't have a shot, he's going to swing it. They're going to get all the way around to the other side, and they're not going to be able to rotate quick enough. So with Vooch, you just can't. I would like to see them have some kind of scheme that doesn't allow him to push. Like, he could push up on his man. Like last night, Jokic, who wants to be a playmaker anyway, you get up on him and you push up on him. Put your body between him and the goal, and then let the guard go underneath to collect the guard that's got the ball. It's much easier for him to cover. It's much easier for your guard to cover. So they've got to do that, because I think when he's out there, if he's not scoring, like last night he wasn't scoring. I think he had one shot in the first quarter. That can't happen. They've got to get Vooch early, get him the ball early. And you got to tell Vooch, get in the post.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to get you the ball early, and we want you to go to work. Now, if Vooch is down there scoring, it's going to force teams to double team because he's that good when he's focused on that scoring in the post. He's arguably the third best post-up center in the league. So he can get buckets if he really wants to. I think he spends more time relying more on the three-point ball. And I think if you get him in the post, throw him the ball early, get him going, now he's engaged. Now he's engaged offensively and he's engaged defensively. When he doesn't touch the ball and he's not shooting, most big guys shut it down. Like, okay, I'm not gonna rebound then. I'm not gonna set a screen then. They just lose interest in playing. It's like, hey, I'm open. Like last night, he rolled to the basket 3 times last night and had a guard on him, and they did not even look his way. And that right there, I can see a big man getting frustrated. If I set a screen and got you open on the big guy, and I rolled to the basket, and I got the Brown kid, Christian Brown on me, who's about 6'5", and I'm 6'11", and I got him underneath the basket, and you don't even look at me.
Yeah.
You think that you got an advantage, so you got the big guy. Now you're dribble, and then you end up taking a fall-away 18-footer when our big man had the ball inside. That's what's frustrating. That's something Billy has to really implore to his team. It's like, hey, if we run a 2-man game and Vooch sets a good screen, your first look is the big man rolling to the basket. That's your first look. And if that's not there, then we go look for option 2.
I think when you talk about strengths going into the season, you have to go back to what you mentioned earlier about their depth. I mean, we haven't even mentioned guys like Dalen Terry and Kevin Huerter, Jalen Smith. I mean, it goes 10, 12 deep, so Billy's going to have options depending on matchups or foul trouble or injuries. He's going to have other guys to turn to. He's
got a lot of tools in the toolbox. You talked about Kevin Huerter, who probably hasn't played a lot in preseason, but he's a great shooter for them. That second unit is going to be really, really, really good. I seen it in preseason when the first guys start off, they get off to a slow start. Billy puts that second group in. You got Io, you got Trey Jones, you got Patrick Williams, you got Zach Collins, and sometimes Modest floats in there with that group. So they're much more, they surge more. They get out defensively, get steals, they're rebounding better. It's just a better energy. It's a better energy. So, Billy's going to have to, it's 82 games. The way he wants to play, you're not going to be able to rely on 7, 8 guys. You're going to have to play 11, 12 guys. And even Noah Singay, he's going to have to play him too. I mean, I thought he had a nice little camp, nice little, preseason. He did some really good things, especially on the defensive end. I'm not worrying about his offense. It's the defense. Can he move his feet? Can he get to the rotations? Does he cause problems to the guy he's guarding with his length, which he does? So I was really impressed with him defensively, how he moves his feet, how he gets in there and competes for rebounds. You're going to have to play that kid too. Hey, we got a special friend of the program standing by. Nick Fredell is going to join us. He's got a new gig. He's working for The Athletic now. He's covering the Golden State Warriors. So he's back in the Bay. We'll ask him if Gimme welcomed him back after working with him for all those years and talk to him about a lot of things going on in the Western Conference. But before we do that, I just do want to ask you one more thing that struck me as funny. You always talk to me about the Antetokounmpo brothers. Yeah. They signed Alex to a 2-way deal. So they probably signed the uncle to be the chief financial officer. The mom is the cook. Listen, no. And I will say this. About them. They know Giannis is itching.
Yeah.
They're
pulling out all the stops.
He's been hinting. He's been saying things. Yeah. And then supposedly there was talk with the New York Knicks about moving him.
Yeah.
And so they know, like, okay, we got to keep this guy happy, So, but I'm gonna tell you something. His brother, he was overseas playing. He was playing really, really well overseas. Matter of fact, if you saw a video of this kid, Alex, you saw a video of him. It almost looked like a young Giannis playing. I mean, it was attacking the rim.
No, I think you're thinking about Kostas.
That's who they should have got then.
Yeah.
No, not Alex.
Kostas is the
That's the one. That's the one they should have got.
Yeah.
He's coming over.
He's
soon.
Not eligible for a 2-way.
Well, he's coming.
He
over
was
soon.
with the Bulls on a 2-way a couple years ago.
He's coming soon. They're gonna have all the Antetokounmpo brothers. They're gonna get the one brother they never talk about.
Right.
They went in the movie. They didn't talk about that. No, I don't know what his name is, but there's another.
He can't play, but he's gonna be on the team.
He's gonna be on the team, and the mom's gonna be over there. She's gonna be doing something. They're gonna have a whole family working over there, boy.
All right, so we're going to talk more about the Golden State Warriors in the Western Conference with Nick and catch up on what he's been doing. But first, I'll tell you about our great sponsor, our good buddy Jeff Vukovich. When it comes to being treated like royalty, make sure you contact Jeff. He'll take care of all your insurance needs, auto, home, and business. You can reach him at jeffvuk.com. Vuk with a K. The phone number 847-825-4783. And Stacey, I saw last night you pulled the old switcheroo on Wayne Randazzo.
I try to make the rookies sing it,
Yeah.
you know, and what I realize is some of them can't sing. Okay, there's, like I said, there's a Michael and there's a Tito. Okay,
Right.
now Kylan, she did pretty good. Kylan Mills did pretty good. So I dubbed her Janet, little Janet coming out on stage. She did very good, but Wayne and Kyle, they're brutal. I just told them to get the tambourine out. Jeff, if you're looking at the show, which I know you are,
Yes, he is.
you know, listen, it's preseason. I wanted some other people to get involved, and I've saved the golden pipes for the regular season. But so here it is. Nationwide is on your side.
Yeah, Stacey's ready for the regular season, and so is our buddy Nick Fredell. He's next on Gimme the Hot Sauce. Gimme the Hot Sauce rolls on, and we've got a special treat for you. You love him, you hate him, you can't live without him. He's our good buddy Nick Fredell. And you know, Stacey, you know you're big when you have your own pre-read that you gotta have for it. Nick is so big, he's the Odyssey Sports Insider. So here we go. On the line is Odyssey Sports NBA insider Nick Fredell. Insider calls are brought to you by Hyundai. Now you can buy a new Hyundai at Amazon. Visit Hyundai.usa.com for more details. Man, are you a big deal. I think you're the first guest that we had to have a pre-interview read.
I just cannot describe, Mark, how happy I am to be back with you guys.
We're glad to have you.
And be back into the realm of the league again day to day and being around everybody. But it's so good to see you and hear y'all's voices and get ready for a new year.
Well, tell us about your new gig. You started a couple of weeks ago. You're back in the Bay Area covering the Warriors for The Athletic. Tell us about how that all came about.
It really, the timing was perfect to be around the Warriors. And I feel like the three of us have been talking about this for years. It's just a completely different organization. They're open to media coverage.
Right.
They have star players. They have personalities on other guys within the roster. And being around Steph Curry and Steve Kerr for years, I've gotten to know them, and Draymond. And then, of course, you drop in Gimme.
Gimme.
I certainly know pretty well.
What did Gimme say the first time he found out that you were going to be a beat guy covering him?
I think he looked at me from the podium and he's just like, Nicholas? It was like one vet guy looking at another vet guy who he's seen all the time. Of course, then when I tried to talk to him about an hour later, he was like, get away from me. I can't believe I have to do this again. But it's great to see him. And the craziest part is I'm to the point now, all these years later, guys, I covered Mike Dunleavy as a player.
Yeah.
And, of course, he's the GM of the Warriors. So when I met you all 15, 16 years ago, I was like, oh, man, I don't know if I'm ever going to stay in this long enough to have those types of relationships. And here I am almost 2 decades later, and that part is cool. It's why you do the kind of job that I've done. So I'm really happy to be back. It's good to be around everybody. The Athletic's great. They're all about writing, and it's fun to be around that kind of team that still wants to be part of the day-to-day conversation.
Now, the window is closing slowly on that Warriors team. They're getting older, not getting any younger. You add Jimmy Butler, who's not a spring chicken either, but he's still a very good player in this league. What is the expectations going into this season with that group? Do they feel like they legitimately have a chance to, be a top 3 team in the Western Conference and feel like they can get to the finals and win a championship before Steph's career is over?
Steph, they feel like they have a chance because of Steph. I mean,
Right.
In the end, they feel like they have a puncher's chance because he still is the player that he is. Jimmy is still a very, very good player. Draymond's the best, if not one of the best defensive players still in the game. And they feel like they have that young core of players behind them that can really start to grow and develop as the year goes on. Would I pick the Warriors to win another title? No. But I tell you guys that as someone who didn't think there was a chance in hell that they were going to win that last bonus title a few years ago. And they did when Andrew Wiggins became the second best player in a championship run. So there's still some magic around this group. They believe they have a puncher's chance, and they think that they can get one more because Steph is still, guys, at that top tier level. If somebody gets hurt, who knows? We know how that drill goes, especially in Chicago. But you add somebody like Horford, who's been there before, and some of those pieces, like a guy like Pajemski, if he can take a little step, they have the depth. They just have to stay healthy going into April with that veteran core. Who knows if that's going to happen? But Stace, absolutely, they think they have that chance going into the year.
One of the biggest dramas of the summer was the whole Jonathan Kuminga episode. I know that was before you took over, as a full-time beat reporter, but you were aware of that, following the league. Steve Kerr is one of the nicest guys you'll ever want to run into. He's very media savvy, but it was interesting to me, Nick, the way he handled the Kuminga situation last year. At times, he benched him. He kind of openly told the media that he doesn't fit in certain lineups. And here's a kid who's 22 years old who can score like crazy. And you almost got the impression that Steve didn't like him. Warriors really didn't value him that highly. They kind of signed a contract that is basically just designed that they can trade him at midseason if it doesn't work out. What do you make of that whole dynamic between Kerr and Kuminga?
I think it was really rocky at times, Mark, and I think you laid it out really well the last couple of years. Kuminga has talent. The problem with Kuminga is the consistency. And he's now going into year 5, and they want him to run the floor and play defense and do all the small things on top of the offensive ability that he clearly has. But in so many ways, there is a comparison here, and it reminds me of Tibbs talking about the younger players back in the day on those Bulls teams, because the talent was there for a lot of those guys, but they couldn't put it together night after night, and it was frustrating for a veteran coach who's still trying to win one more title to see that. So can Kuminga be a very good player in this league? Absolutely. I think the talent is within him. The consistency just hasn't been there. If he can take that step, he's either going to help the Warriors this year on that chase, or they're going to move him at the deadline and get the pieces that can solidify the roster. But as I watched Kuminga from a distance, I kind of shook my head too, thinking, why hasn't he been able to put everything together yet? And Mark, I think what you said is spot on in that he's 22. There's still a lot of time for growth in a lot of different directions. But from what I've seen, I understand why Kerr was making the decisions that he made. There was a lot of friction. I would tell you guys, in context of the preseason, I think the relationship is in a better place now. Kuminga got paid, at least for the short term. Kerr has publicly said several times he's liked what he's seen from Kuminga now. Let's see what happens in a few months.
Yeah, we were in Denver last night. And we played the Nuggets, and I think a lot of teams are in trouble with them. I mean, I do. I think the one area they were weak at last year that was exposed a lot was the bench. They lost a lot of people off their bench. Bruce Brown, you had Jeff Green off those championship teams who played pivotal roles, and they suffered for that. But I think they addressed the issue now. They went out and got some guys to strengthen up their bench. They got rid of, Michael Porter Jr., who was complaining about his role. He didn't like to be the number 3 option. He thought he should have a bigger role. They went out and get Cam Johnson, who will accept whatever role they want him to play. He's a 3-point shooter. He's probably a better defensive player than Michael Porter Jr. was at his position at 6'8". You got Bruce Brown back. You've got they had Jonas Valanciunas, Tim Hardaway Jr. They have strengthened their team. Plus some of their younger players, like Brown is playing at a higher level. You got the other kid they played, Peyton Watson, who looked really good last night. They look like a team. And if you go off last year, it took Oklahoma City to the brink of 7 games, and they look like a team that they're back trying to win a title. I'm telling you, I don't know where you got them ranked at, but after seeing them just in the preseason game yesterday, they got to be at least the top 3.
Stace, I agree. I mean, if we were betting right now, I would bet it's Thunder Nuggets in the Western Conference Finals.
Yeah,
I don't think either one of those teams wants any part of the Warriors because of Steph and Gimme at the top of that roster. But when I watch what the Nuggets did and you see Jokic and the progression he still is making. I mean, guys, he is so much better as a complete player than he was a few years ago. He just looks like he's still that dominant force. And Stacey, you mentioned the names. It does feel like they filled out the holes that they needed to fill. So uh, to me, it's the Thunder and Nuggets at the top. I think the Warriors, because of the uncertainty with the health, are going to be right below those two teams. They can still push and potentially get through the West, but I think the Thunder, with what they did last year and the young core that they have, and Jokic being still at the top of that roster in Denver, those are going to be the teams to beat to start the year.
The West is a lot deeper than what people think. I mean, you got Kevin Durant now in Houston. That's going to be a different. I think losing Fred VanVleet hurts them, but I still think they have enough talent to upset some people and go make a deep run. You've got Minnesota with Anthony Edwards. You know, now you've got him and Julius Randle now playing together a couple of years now. They understand each other. They could be a team that's going to be a tough out. I mean, they're Dallas if you get Kyrie back, and you've seen the early showings of Cooper Flagg and what he can do on that team. And I think you pair him up with Anthony Davis, oh my goodness, your front court is going to be nasty. So they got to be a team that you got to be concerned about as well. So it's not just cut and dry of like 3 teams. There's a lot of good teams, at least 6 that have a shot that say, hey, we have a possibility of winning a championship.
Stace, the talent in the West is really something. I know everybody is focused on the East and, hey, anything can happen. You know, Tatum goes out and Halliburton's hurt. Who knows how it's going to work out? And the interest is there. But the talent, from what you just said, the Western Conference every night is going to be something to watch and to see how these teams line up. There are just a lot of different really good storylines. Dallas with Cooper Flagg, who knows what kind of leap they're going to be able to make as they wait for Kyrie to get healthy again. You know, you're always going to have an eye on what's going on in LA with Luka and whatever the hell happens with LeBron. But when you watch those games unfold, you're sitting there going, okay, every night, even as I am trying to describe all this, it feels like one of those games you'd see football-wise in the SEC. You just cannot take a night off. And I think in the East, especially as you get lower down in the weeds, the conference just is not nearly in a place that it has been in the past.
All right, so speaking about being lower down in the weeds, Bulls fans have been waiting patiently for the last 10 minutes or so going, what is Nick Fredell? What is his outlook on the Chicago Bulls for the 2025-26 campaign?
Mark, I told some of my closest friends in Chicago I was coming on with you guys.
Yeah.
And the response I got back was, well, hell, you want us to come on? Because we know exactly what the hell you're going to say. We know what you're going to say. And I said, but Mark and Stacey are 2 of my closest friends that I made in Chicago. And they said, okay, that's great. But we know what's going to happen. Oh, Friedell doesn't think the Bulls are any good. Oh, he doesn't know what's going on. He's not around the team anymore. Guys, the conclusion that I've come to is I just feel really bad for Bulls fans. I feel really, really bad for them because the team is not run well. Mike should have made the decision to get Karnisovas and Eversley out of there a couple years ago, and it's just prolonging the inevitable of mediocrity. And I really do feel bad because we know the passion that the city has for that team. There are so many fans of that team who want them to be so much more than what they are. And so long as they're run like this, nothing's going to change. It's just the chase for 41 every year. And we can go through, all right, Matas, can he take a step? Okay. I mean, maybe, but I don't think he's like the face of any kind of team. I think he can be a really solid NBA player, and he's certainly getting better. But when you don't have those pieces that you're sure you can build around, and you've made the decisions that you made, like Pat Williams on that deal, that's awful. You're getting nothing for Vucevic. when you continue to make bad decisions, bad things happen in pro sports. And the Bulls are stuck in this mediocrity cycle that there's just no signs of getting out of right now.
So what is your thought process on what the front office has done as far as not building through the draft, but going out and getting younger players off of other teams that are like 21, 22 years old, but they have NBA experience? Don't you think that's a move in the right direction for them?
No, Stacey, truly, I feel so bad because from where I sit and from what I watch, and obviously I still talk to plenty of people in Chicago, every day that Karnisovas and Eversley are still in power and making decisions, it's just a waste. I mean, it is just.
Tell us how you really feel, Nick.
They're just going nowhere. They're going to be an 8 or 9 seed. Maybe they sneak into the playoffs. They'll get a couple of those home gates for tickets. Cool. But they have mismanaged things so badly. And Stacey, I understand, like, you're trying to find different ways to see optimism, to see growth within. But when you watch the way the roster has been built and you see the decisions that have been made in the last couple of years, there's just no reason to hope. And that is what is so sad to me because, look, my first year when I got there, it was the end of Derek's rookie season. And there was questions about was Vinny the guy and what was going to happen. And then you see the next year, they have that crazy series against Boston and the first year, and then they get bounced really fast against Cleveland the next year, and everybody thought, okay, they need a new coach, and they made a really good hire with Tibbs, and we know how that went. Billy's a solid coach, but Billy doesn't have the talent anywhere close to Tibbs had, and when you don't have talent on the roster, you can have any coach you want. It's not going to be good enough, and when you have the wrong people making the decisions, we could go any different direction you want. The problem is the Bulls don't have enough talent. And when you don't have enough talent in the NBA, you can only go so far. And that is the problem. There's a ceiling for them every time the new season starts, so long as the front office structure remains the same.
If you're just listening to the podcast and not watching on YouTube or on the Chicago Sports Network, Nick is sporting a Chicago Cubs hat. We know that he bleeds Cubby blue. Had to kill you when they lost Game 5 in Milwaukee the other day. And then I don't know if you caught any of the well, you're in Portland, so you didn't. Jed Hoyer had his end of the season conference today and didn't really make it sound very optimistic that they're going to spend a lot of money going for frontline talent. So assuming Kyle Tucker is going to leave, which I think is 100%, if you heard his postgame comments, he's gone. And it sounds like they're not going to spend to fill that void. Was this just a one-year aberration? Because it's a running gag on the show. Stacey wasn't going to wear a Cub hat because he said they always let you down in the end. You know, he's got a Seattle Mariners hat.
My Mariners, baby. We're moving on, baby. We're moving on, Seattle, baby.
So what's the future for the Cubs look like?
Mark, the hardest part in watching as a fan and being a season ticket holder all those years I was in Chicago, and there are similarities to me as far as the Bulls structure. And Ricketts and the Cubs, if you're not spending at the level that all the other teams around you are spending at, good luck. And I know people will point to Milwaukee, oh, well, they're not spending nearly what the Cubs are, and they're still having success. Oh, that's all well and good, but when you're in the third biggest media market there is, and you've got Wrigley stuffed every day, and you're charging $15-16 for beers, people are going to get really pissed off if you're not spending at the highest level you can. So I have not heard what Jed said, but Mark, I will always give Jed Hoyer the benefit of the doubt, because part of Jed Hoyer's job is to go out there and be like, hey, this is what we need to do. He has taken a whole bunch of the anger and frustration out that Tom Ricketts should be facing. I have never been a fan of Ricketts and the way he runs that team. It is so frustrating because that Cubs fan base is just incredible. Wrigley, as we know, is what it is. But when you are not running things well from the top, there's only so far your team can go. And that sadly is an ongoing theme for so many of the franchises in Chicago.
Well, I thought one of the biggest mistakes was trade deadline. They didn't go out and get another arm.
Oh yeah.
You know,
yeah.
they felt like I don't know what they were thinking. Maybe if these guys come back from injury or whatever, we can get by with this. You need pitching in the playoffs. It's very obvious. I mean, you just saw what Snell did to Milwaukee's lineup on the road, and then the pitcher,
Yamamoto too.
Yeah, he pitched like 9 innings yesterday.
Yeah, he went
I mean, that you have to have arms if you expect to go deep and make a deep run. And they didn't go out and get anybody to trade deadline, and that hurt him, I thought, at the end.
Stacey, you're absolutely right. One, Hoyer absolutely could have done more, but two, what kind of direction is he getting behind the scenes? Hey, we can't spend that much more money going into next year's budget, and you better not lose these prospects because these prospects are a lot cheaper than whatever we can get potentially in free agency. The hardest part about watching the Cubs this year, even when they got hot and got rolling, guys, for me was we all know you need pitching in the playoffs. If you don't have pitching, you're not going to win. If 2016 proved anything to all of us, it's that you need those top-tier guys at the top of that rotation or else good luck to you. And I laughed over the summer when the conversation came up, oh, Shota's a front-of-the-line guy. Shota could be a 2-starter on a title. No, he can't. I mean, no, he can't. He's a nice pitcher. He's got a cool story coming from Japan, and he had his good moments. But I think we all saw very clearly that he's not that kind of guy. When you know you don't have that kind of guy, and Boyd had a nice year, but can he be consistently that 1 or 2 guy on a great team? I don't think so. So it's a sad time for Cubs fans because it was a reminder this last couple of weeks of just how special it is in October at Wrigley. But if you're not going to spend and you're not going to invest in that team at the same high level, there's only so far you can go.
Nick, do you think that's one of the reasons why Theo Epstein is not here? Like, he really saw the writing on the wall that the management was not going to be trying to keep a championship caliber team playing every year, and he says, hey, I'm not signing on to this. I signed on to rebuild this program. We got a World Series. We need to keep it going. Do you think that's one of the reasons why he's no longer the general manager there?
It's about 1 billion%.
Wow.
I mean, about 1 billion. Theo, watching him from a distance, always came across as one of the smartest executives I've ever seen. He knew how to deal with the media. He knew how to build his team and his culture. And he knew what he needed from ownership day to day, year to year to compete. There is not a single solitary doubt in my mind that he watched those last couple of years unfold, and he's listening to Ricketts and he's in all the meetings behind the scenes. He's going, I am out of here. Yeah. Again, Jed Hoyer is not perfect, and Jed Hoyer has made some mistakes, but any Cubs fan that's sitting there going, oh, it's Jed Hoyer, he's the problem. Give me a break. If Theo, he had his Bill Walsh 10 years, I'm out of here after this window. Stace, if he knew that Ricketts was still going to spend the same way, I can only speak for myself. I wholeheartedly believe, maybe he may not still be there now, but there was a reason that he left when he did. He absolutely saw the writing on the wall, and it's so frustrating because the Cubs could be so much more. I mean, Ricketts had all the goodwill in the world after 16, and I feel like it's just been squandered now 8-9 years later. So there are so many different layers to that, but again, it's a common theme in Chicago, and frankly, guys, it always has been. You have to spend, and it's not just on the court or on the field, it's behind the scenes. Everybody's got to spend and everybody's got to be on the same page. And there's a reason why so many teams in the city for so long have been in the same spot.
All right, Whispers, here's your crack at Nick. What do you got? I'm sure you prepared something for him.
Well, we went down a path here. So Nick, I always appreciate your truth talk. What do you think about bandwagoners like our man Stacey here, who keeps a collection of hats to go?
Oh,
wherever
he
the
goes
team is?
after the Kings.
Because here you are wearing a hat as a true fan, even after they just lose. That's what it's all about. So what about the guys who keep a closet of
America?
lids
You may
to
not
change?
see Tim on the show ever again. Because last time I looked at the Stacey King show, not the Whisper show, he may not be back after that comment.
Oh,
You know what's funny though,
truth.
Mr. Whispers. You know what's funny? Stace can wear whatever he wants because I think so much of it is he's trying to set the fashion statement, and he may rep a team from time to time. But I know Stacey King, and I know what's in his heart. And at his core, he is a fan of the teams he's a fan of, no matter what the hell he's wearing. Now that wouldn't be my preference because I'm a Cubs fan until the day I die. I'll be wearing all kinds of crazy stuff all over the place. But I understand it. But at his core, I know what's in here.
That's right, Nick.
And all the people in Chicago know what's in
there
here.
you go.
So
Well
exactly.
stated.
Great cover, Nick. That was,
you
You know what,
that
Nick?
was smooth.
Nick, we'll have a seat here open next week. If you want to, you ain't got to apply for the job. You already got the job. We're gonna get rid of this guy.
Luckily, I don't need to look for work anymore. So
If you were looking for work, this seat would be open for you. Well, let me just say this, America. Okay, I'm always gonna pull for Chicago teams. I always want to see Chicago teams when they're in the playoffs and they got a chance to win. I'm always gonna pull for them. Okay, maybe I'm not in favor of how the situations how they're run or whatever. I'm just like a normal fan. Okay, but at the end of the day, I want to see all the teams here have success because you live here in Chicago. We want to have something to brag about. I know what it was like being on that Bulls team and everybody with their chest pumped out and everybody all over the nation who were Bulls fans could come out of the closet. We're a championship team. And I know what that felt like, and I know what I saw. And these fans here in Chicago are very knowledgeable sports fans, probably the most knowledgeable sports fans in America. And they want to see teams win. And when they win, when you win in this city, you don't have to do anything. You don't have to buy a drink. You don't have to buy it. People will come up to you and do all kind of nice things for you.
And you were wearing a Bulls hat back then.
Yes, I was, because I was on the team. I was winning. We were winning. I still wear Bulls hats even to this day. But I just want to see teams get back to our city, to get back to being like a supreme sports city. Every team is playing well. All the fans are happy. It's just a great place to be in Chicago when the teams are winning.
Stace, what I would add to that, and I agree with you so much on what you said, there is a loyalty within Chicago that I at least haven't seen in other places. When you lay everything on the line for a team in Chicago that has success, for the rest of time, you are going to come back in Chicago and people are going to go, Joakim, what's up, baby?
Yeah.
You poured everything you had into those moments. So I think as time has gone on, I have such a deeper appreciation for the fans in the city because, look, I grew up there certainly when I was a little kid, but professionally, that's what I lived. I mean, I'm a diehard Cubs fan. I covered the Bulls for so many years. The fan loyalty within that city and that region is incredible. And it's just so sad that over and over we're having so many of the same conversations about what's going on with the team. So I can't agree with you anymore. I just wish for all those Bulls fans who listened to y'all's show and who packed the UC night after night, there was something more that they could hold on to.
Well, Nick, we really enjoyed the visit. Best of luck being back in the Bay Area covering the Warriors, and I'm going to take care of my contractual obligation and say that was our guest, Nick Fredell, Odyssey Sports NBA Insider, brought to you by Hyundai. Now you can buy a new Hyundai at Amazon. Visit Hyundai.usa.com for more details. Nick, you're the best. We really appreciate you. You're in Portland covering the preseason. You jumped on. We love you, man.
And soon to be a member of the Gimme the Hot Sauce
That's
podcast
right.
as he replaces Whispers. Okay? That's it. I'm just telling you, Bulls Nation, I'm sorry. Whispers may not be here next week.
Love the hat, Nick. Love the hat.
Yeah. It's all about the hat.
My best friend threw me under the bus.
Yeah.
This is a guy I've known for 30-something years. He threw me under the bus. I've never been hurt more. It's like a brother. It's like a brother. Nick, you expect people to stab you in the back. You expect it. Okay? But when it's someone you love, someone you know, Nick, and you go in for a hug and they shank you like you in the shower in the prison. That's what Whispers did to me. He just shanked me.
Stace, I'm with you, but there is a level of truth that you can only get from family.
Yeah, Nick, and now you're not coming on the show.
No.
I'm sorry, Nick. I'm revoking my offer to you. It's off the table, baby. It's off the table.
Guys, I would only close on this. It is always great to see you and to hear y'all. And I tell you every time, but you guys treated me so well when I started. And I look back now, especially as we take these walks sometimes down memory lane, and I'm starting this new job. I just want to tell you how much I appreciate that. Looking back even more now, and it's been great to continue to be with you on this ride as the years have gone on.
Well, it's good to see your growth. Your growth as a journalist. Coming in from when you first came in to where you are now. I'm glad to see you back in the game, man, because you're one of the best in the business.
I appreciate it, my man.
Yeah,
I'll see you guys soon.
Media jobs come and go, but friendships last forever, and we value our friendship
Except
with you,
for Whispers, Nick. He's out of here.
Best of luck on the Warriors. Hey, tell Jimmy we said hello, and we'll see you when you come to Chicago.
Yes, sir. You got it.
All right, Nick.
Nick Fredell, our guest. We're going to talk a little Bears. They're coming off a big victory. That's
we're talking about replacing Whispers, too.
That's awesome. Welcome back. Nick was talking about the travails of Chicago sports and things aren't going well. Hey, we got another team on the upswing. The Chicago Bears have won 3 games in a row after winning at Washington, getting some perfect karma revenge, winning that game after a fumble by Jaden Daniels, last-second field goal by Jake Moody. And joining us now to talk it through is Glenn Morgan, Bears analyst. Glenn, what did you make of what happened? It was raining, it was windy, a lot of stuff was going on, but in the end, the Bears found a way to win. And I think that is how you build culture, by winning games.
Karma is a real thing. Karma exists most definitely. And you got to make your better best. Isn't that what they say now after every win?
That's what he says very loudly.
Very loudly indeed. I thought the Bears, they prevailed. And you mentioned culture. I understand that. Sometimes I feel it's a little overused. What does that exactly mean? And
it means winning games is what it means.
No doubt. No doubt. But I think really, too, along with that, the atmosphere, the environment you're creating. And right now, there's more of an air, there's more of an aura that this team has more towards positivity and winning, something that definitely was sorely lacking over the last couple of years.
Well, I tell you what, one thing I was impressed with was the offensive line. The holes that they were making for Swift was unbelievable. I mean, they were getting out. You saw some of them getting out, pulling, getting to the second level, taking linebackers out, cornerbacks out the way. I thought DJ Moore blocked very well downfield. The receivers blocked well downfield. That was the best I've seen Swift and the offensive line play this year. And I hope it continues.
Yeah, no doubt. And, one of the things that happens when you start to develop that aura, everyone starts to buy into the commit. And that's what you saw Monday night. You saw a totally committed team towards helping everybody win. I mean, DJ was playing, as we know, with very severe injury in terms of his groin area. Very difficult for him to compete out there, but he's still doing that. And if he wasn't catching passes, he was out there making key blocks. Again, something we didn't see from him last year. Body language last year was the exact opposite. But now you have a situation where everybody feels that, what we're doing means something. There's a purposefulness to what everyone is doing. And even though they made mistakes, and there are a lot of them, penalties are still a big deal. The offensive line paved the way, literally and figuratively, to help that team win this on Monday. And I tell you what, Swift it's a type of back that needs space. He's much better, much more of a danger and a threat when he has room to maneuver and operate. Running him in and behind the line wasn't working. So to the credit of this coaching staff, they saw what they needed to do. They have athletes as their tackles, and they put them out there, have their guards, they're moving around, and they're doing things where they can create more space away from the exact line of scrimmage, and they're kind of extending it out, helping him be more of a perimeter threat, which is basically Swift's strength. And indeed, he's not in between the tackles type kind of running back.
So the Bears are featured on Monday Night Football for the second time this season. And for people who don't know, there's always pre-game meetings with the announcers, in this case, Joe Buck and Troy Aikman. And I heard Caleb Williams on Wednesday at his regular news conference say that he missed his meeting with those guys. You think that was part of the reason why they kind of unloaded on him during the broadcast? Because they were very critical of Caleb Williams during the Monday night broadcast.
You know, narratives are a real thing too, just like karma. And sometimes people can be petty. Sometimes, if you have a bone you want to pick, if you have an itch you want to scratch, if you have something that you want to point out or needle someone with, and you have a platform, sometimes that happens. And so, yeah, they were critical. But, you know, with that being said, I think the Bears are doing a great job in being able to tune out some of the negativity that surrounds them, be it from the national media, be it from the fans sometimes, even if it's from our own media. And what this team is doing is they're consolidating their efforts together. And because of that, that's speaking more volumes to whatever any criticisms may be out there.
I thought one of the things when they jumped out to that 13-0 lead, their confidence was soaring. And then they went to a stretch. Washington comes back. They take the lead. And the one thing I saw of the Bears, they didn't drop their shoulders. They didn't droop their shoulders. They didn't just go, oh no, here it goes again. They made plays. They continue to make plays, and they put themselves. Now the kicker, Jake Moody, was the MVP to me, because here's a guy half the team didn't even know his name. They didn't know his name.
No.
You know, they were like, oh yeah, the kicker. Oh yeah, he did a great job tonight. That guy coming in a pressure situation, replacing the Cairo. Was Cairo the good
Cairo
kicker?
Santos,
Cairo
yeah.
Santos.
Yeah.
Who's a great kicker. And to come in off the practice squad in a game like that, in that magnitude, with the weather being the way it was raining, it was not really good conditions, to be able to calmly kick these field goals. He only missed one, and that was like a bad hold or something. It wasn't his fault. But that was impressive. I was really impressed by that. And I think everybody rallied around their kicker.
Yeah, nonetheless, it definitely was impressive. Keep in mind his mindset. Where is his confidence within himself after being let go and having the struggles he's had over the last, since last year? So to come in and to be able to overcome even his own doubts, along with the elements and with the pressure situation and being on Monday night, all that. Now I believe he also had motivation, something to play for. But what really resonated with me was his humbleness afterwards. How he still kept, acknowledging Cairo and how much he was just grateful for everything that all the team did to help him be able to achieve what he could, hitting 3 out of 4 field goals, and of course the game winner. But yeah, it's again, like you said, they didn't droop their head. They're taking their cue from their coach. You know, a lot of times they'll cut over to the sidelines and you'll see the facial tweaks and twitches of the head coach, but for the most part, it's pretty much a poker face. Yeah, his eyes may cut a glance here and there, but he stays calm. And as a result, his team stays calm. And even when you cut over to Ben Johnson and something negative happens, be it a penalty or like, turnover, if that is the case, you don't see him react in a manner that would seem as though that he is beyond more frustrated and that he is, in a situation where he's flustered. No, you see him, quick moment of like, okay, that was messed up, but you see this look on his mind, like, okay, you know what? On to the next play, on to the adjustment. How do we fix this? And his team, they take that cue and they, you know what? We had the penalty. That was a key penalty that, and I don't believe it was a great call. The refereeing was a little bit questionable on Benedict. Yeah, definitely shaky. And Benedict, when they said he was offsides, it didn't look like he was misaligned to me at all. And it cost the Bears a touchdown. Last year, that's going to sink the Bears. It really would. Last couple of years, it would have sunk the Bears, but it didn't. Those guys fought through that, and inevitably, invariably, they held on long enough to where a fumble happened. And this time, it's Washington that created, their own faux pas, so to speak. And the Bears were able to capitalize and not just get the fumble, but able to do something with it afterwards and get downfield and make the plays to be able to seal the deal at the end. And again, it's just an environment or an attitude that this team is displaying that is growing. And every little bit we see incrementally, this Bears team is beginning to form and become better. And be quite honest with you, not that I would be dishonest with you, of course, but as I look at this team, there really isn't a discernible weakness within a unit. The running backs, maybe a little more depth there. We saw Roshan come back, so he's off the milk carton now. He was a sighting. He was out there. He got a carry at least. But outside of that, this unit is every unit on the Bears team looks as though it's solid and improving. And that's another thing we didn't see. We didn't see a lot of development of the players over the past couple of years. So I say the arrow is definitely pointing up for the Chicago Bears.
Well, one thing we should have learned over the years, and certainly this year, is that the NFL is a week-to-week league. Everything changes based on injuries and matchups and things like that. We saw the Buffalo was 4-0. They lost 2 games in a row. The Eagles got beat, by a pedestrian Giants team. So, you look at the Bears' schedule and you think, oh, they got the Saints at home. That should be a win. Then you're going on the road to play the Ravens and the Bengals, who are both had all kinds of problems. Beginning of the year, you would have thought those were losses. Now, hey, maybe they can win those games. And then they got the Giants after that. So all of a sudden you get all excited. The Bears could be 7-2, and they'll probably lose to the Saints on Sunday. I mean, what do you make of the madness that is the NFL this year?
I think you encapsulate it right there. It's just madness. It's a week to week league. But with that, it's always been a league of attrition. It makes such a huge difference. You see how, Baltimore was struggling before Lamar got injured, but since he's been injured, they look even worse. The Bengals aren't the same without Joe Burrow. You lose key players at any given time, and it's going to be very difficult. Not only that, but each week teams are not necessarily who they were the week before. They're improving. They're making changes. The trading deadline is going to also impact some more NFL teams as that comes about. They see more trades now during the season than you used to before. So when you look at the Bears schedule, and we talked about that at the beginning of the season, how this past game, the Washington game, I said it was going to be a pivotal game. The Bears could be either 2-2, maybe 3-1 going in, hopefully. But this Washington game was kind of be, because it's coming off the bye. It's going to kind of give you an indication of, are they going forward? Are they regressing, or are they still trying to figure out who they are? And right now, after that game, at the very least right now, despite whoever they may play going forward, the Bears look as though they are understanding who they are, how they should operate. And with that, it looks much more favorable as we look at the schedule that, 15-2 is possible. No, I'm just joking.
The Bears are who we thought they were, and you let them off the hook.
but right now, I'd have to say, for the most part, you look at the schedule and you're like, 11-6 is not impossible, and 10-7 looks as though.
Put the pipe down.
So you're changing your W's and L's on your list now, Glenn?
No. Again, it's a mercurial league. It really is. And as you look with this league going forward, some of these games we thought weren't going to be winnable. The Baltimore game, for instance, looks it can definitely be winnable. Green Bay, they're good, but they've had some struggles as well. And defensively, they've been prone to making a lot of mistakes and disappearing in games. So as the Bears are getting better, and some of the players are defining their roles and understanding, becoming comfortable with that, and we see Caleb's progression week to week, and even the head coach, he's learning how to be a head coach as well. He's made his mistakes, but he's learning, and the coaching staff is making adjustments. It looks as though the Bears have as sound a footing as anyone in this division going forward. And look, 11-6, yeah, that's a high end, most certainly. But 10-7 looks like, looks very attainable. It's 5 more losses. I can see them possibly getting another 7 wins within that. So we'll see. It's still early. It's just mid-October, but we feel a lot better now than we did after the first 2 weeks after that thrashing by the Detroit Lions.
Just looking at the 2 quarterbacks, they're going to be linked together for the rest of their careers. Jaden Daniels and Caleb Williams. I thought Caleb Williams outplayed him. I thought that he looked comfortable back there. I think when you look at it, Caleb Williams, I think he's going to be the first Bears quarterback to throw 4,000 yards. You think that's attainable for him this season?
Yeah, I do. I believe, as long as he stays healthy, and as long as the receiving core, stays intact for the most part, and when they start involving the tight ends, you need to get Colson and Kmet involved. The running backs as well, in terms of being able to catch the passes out the backfield. You saw a great touchdown that Swift did, and that, again, like I said, you get him out in open space, he makes things happen. So yeah, I think Caleb is making sound decisions. He's making a lot better decisions when it comes to passing the ball. He still struggles a little bit with the RPOs, at times. I think he almost threw an interception near the goal line, because I think to me it looked like he was predetermined that he was going to fake the handoff and throw the pass. He has to read that better. But outside of that, in terms of passing the ball, I think he's doing a much better job. His touchdown interception ratio is 4-1, 9 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. He takes care of the ball pretty well. He's not just running out of the pocket every time now to try and make something happen. You're going to see it from time to time. That's part of his DNA. But he's harnessing his abilities a lot more. And I think that synergy between he and Johnson is starting to play out. So I do think 4,000 is attainable. I think he had about 3,500 yards last year, and how horrible that season was. So yeah, an additional 500 yards, I don't think that's out the question.
All right, Glenn. Hopefully, we'll talk to you next week after another victory, but you never know in the NFL. Thanks a lot for joining us, and nice to see the Bears are on the upswing.
Certainly, most definitely. Now, if we could just get the rest of these, how about those Bulls, Stacey? I mean, I'm doing my job. Are you pulling the weight here? I mean, what do we have to expect with these Bulls going forward? Denver, come on, man.
I'm tired of people trying to pull me under the bus. Okay, first of all, Glenn, I have no control over how the Bulls players play. Okay, I want them to have success. I thought preseason was a pretty good preseason. There's still some areas that they need to improve on. But I think this is a team. Honestly, I think they're gonna be anywhere between 35 and 42 wins. It's gonna fall somewhere in between there. And I think the goal for them this year is not the play-in game, but actually be in the playoffs where they don't have to play in the play-in. I think they'll be good enough to do that. I think the Eastern Conference took some blows with guys being out. This is an opportunity for them. If you go off the second half of the season with the group they had last year, if they play like that in the first half, they're a lock into the playoffs. So if they carry over from what they did last year with this young nucleus with Josh Giddey and, Io and Kobe and, Modest, they could possibly be a playoff team this year, not be in the play-in game.
That's what I'm talking about, man. That's what I'm talking about. I need that kind of, conviction in your voice. That's the influence that you have. That's you doing your part. That's all I'm saying.
I'm always looking at a team. This team is like they can do better than what they did, and so hopefully this year they will.
All right, Glenn. We hope that good karma carries on after another Bears win on Sunday. We'll talk to you next week.
All right, guys. Take care. Appreciate you.
Hey, Stacey, before we get out of here, we got to get your thoughts on the Red River Shootout. That's always the game in college football for you.
Mark, you just had to go there.
Yeah, why not?
Just had to go there, Mark. You just couldn't let it go. Okay? Let me just say this. We lost again. Okay? And they should have, in my opinion, they should not have played Matute. They should have.
Yeah, they kind of rushed him back.
They should have had him available if needed, but not start him, not play him. Play the other kid. He had played well the game before, did exactly what he's supposed to do, put him in position to go in this game undefeated. Let him play. Let's see how he does. If we need to put Matute in, we'll do it. They rushed Matute, I thought, in. He's coming back from hand surgery. It wasn't like, it was a sprain. He had hand surgery on his throwing hand. And you throw him out there against a team that is, even though they lost to Florida, they lost to Ohio State, and everybody was counting them out, they get motivated to play the Crimson and Cream of the Oklahoma Sooners. They're a totally different team when they play Oklahoma. And this may catapult them into SEC play. This win against Oklahoma and Arch Manning playing much better now, this may propel Texas to get back in the playoff hunt.
You already got Texas winning. What's going on?
Listen, man, I was disappointed. As a Sooner fan, I'm disappointed.
You know where Texas at next week?
No, never. That's
Orange down, right?
No, there's never. You'll never.
How about Northwestern? What did they do over the weekend?
Beat Penn State. They got the coach fired.
Wow,
that's what I'm talking about.
Wow, that's their one signature win every 10 years.
They do it every year. They ruin somebody's season. That's what we're known for.
One signature win every 10 years.
No, every year. We ruin someone's season every year.
Yeah, James Franklin walking away with $48 million.
Yeah,
He'll be okay. He'll be okay.
Listen, you know what, though? Here's the deal with this, though. These teams, there's so much pressure on these coaches now with the NIL. So much pressure on these coaches to win. Penn State was picked, the number 1 team in the state. Preseason. They struggled. Every team in college football is struggling right now. And all the teams that they figured, Alabama was undefeated. They've lost. Georgia is, I think, still
Oregon
undefeated.
lost to Indiana.
They lost to Indiana at home.
Yeah.
Indiana went in there and beat them like they stole something. Yeah. And it's a hard place for a
college
team.
College football's crazy.
There's a lot of teams. Texas was the number 1 team in the country. They've already lost 2 games. Man, they put so much pressure on these coaches to win. There's such a hidden element that the university president and those guys don't understand. The alumni don't understand. Man, you're dealing with a bunch of stuff. You're trying to keep 60 kids happy. You're trying to keep trying to play the kids so they don't transfer and get in the portal. Kids don't want to wait anymore. They don't want to wait their turn. They got seniors and juniors in front of them. These freshmen want to play right away, and if they don't play, they jump in the portal. It's such a big mess in college sports right now with the NIL money.
Yeah, James Franklin, something like 1-11 against top 5 teams, so they can't win the big one, and they couldn't beat Northwestern either at home. So that was the end of the road for him.
That usually gets you fired.
Well, and you know what though? But okay, let's look where Penn State came from. Okay, Franklin's done a great job at Penn State. He came in
Yeah, they were a mess.
When
after
they
the
were
whole
a
scandal,
mess
yeah.
after the scandal. They should be appreciating this man, and he got them back to relevancy.
You know how it goes. What have you done for me lately?
What have you done for me lately?
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah.
Yeah, that's what he should have got on the press conference and said, this is how you treat me. After Sandusky,
They tore down his
after
statue.
Joe Paterno incident,
yeah.
this is the way you treat me? Okay. Thank you, Penn State. Just give me my $48 million and I'm out the door.
All right, so hopefully Oklahoma pulls the upset, knocks off Texas, and Stacey will be grinning ear to ear next week. So we'll look forward to that on next week's show. Got a couple of Oklahoma quarterbacks, or at least they spent some time there. Caleb Williams and Spencer Rattler on Sunday. That'll be fun to watch.
Listen, the Sooner quarterbacks are running this league, NFL.
It's okay.
Hey, don't sleep on my boy Baker.
Hey,
MVP.
MVP for Baker,
MVP.
yeah.
Baker may be MVP this year. Okay,
Yeah.
you got Kyler Murray
He's been really good.
in St. Louis. He's not playing really well, but he's still a dynamic quarterback. You got Rattlers playing. You got Jalen Hurts is there.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, we are all over.
Taking
It's
over.
quarterback you, baby. Quarterback you.
All before NIL. If only Stacey, we haven't figured out the math yet, but if only they would have cryogenically froze.
Oh, baby. Baby, the key would have been making $5 million, baby. I'd been making $5 million, baby. I would have came out. I'd have been there 6-7 years. They let kids stay 6 or 7 years. I'd have been there 6-7 years.
He'd have been on the Evan Eschmeyer plan.
Oh, you ain't
Set
lying.
Northwestern
Yeah,
for 10 years.
Evan was getting. What is that? With they give you when you turn 50? ARP.
Yeah, ARP. Yeah,
he
ARP,
was collecting ARP. He was collecting ARP at Northwestern.
All right, folks, we've done enough damage for one show. Hope you enjoyed Nick Fredell and our guy Glenn Morgan. Hopefully, get another Bears win to talk about next week. Until then,
Drive home safe.
He didn't come for the massage, he came for the facial. Don't shoot him. Does anybody know how to post videos to Facebook? There's a block right behind you to get the invitation. That's a huge three. Mustard. Lonzo left alone. Sauce. Able to swerve, bend that corner. That's the last time I'm going to see it. Williams straight on. Giants.